Hello students, so in this video lecture we will look into a very unique and interesting ocean of the world. We all know कि ocean normally covers approximately 71% or 70.8% of the earth's surface, and from since our childhood we are studying कि the major oceans of the earth are Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Antarctic Ocean, and the I think that is called your Northern Ocean. But apart from all these oceans in our earth, we have a very typical type of ocean is called a very unique ocean is there, that is called your Mediterranean Sea or Mediterranean Ocean. In fact, this Mediterranean is not an ocean, it is a marginal sea. It is a marginal sea. This marginal sea is a semi-isolated, body of water that is present adjacent to a large ocean. This marginal sea is a semi-isolated body of water that is present adjacent to a large ocean, and most of the marginal seas are normally formed by means of the tectonic forces, by the tectonic force, and this tectonic force that normally isolate a low-lying ocean crust from the remaining ocean crust, and it causes this particular ocean crust to be surrounded by the continental crust. And example of this type of marginal sea is Mediterranean Ocean. It is the Mediterranean Ocean. And the second factor that can also create a marginal sea is the formation of island earth. The shallow water region that is present behind the island earth, or even the volcanic earth, it can also create a marginal sea, and example of this type of marginal sea is the Caribbean Sea. That means the marginal sea, it can be created by two different processes. One is your tectonic force, and this tectonic force normally isolate a low-lying oceanic crust from the remaining oceanic crust, and it causes this particular oceanic crust to be surrounded by a continental crust. Whereas the second mechanism is the formation of island earth, especially at the behind of the or in the back side of the island earth or even the volcanic earth. We have a shallow water body region, and that particular region is called a marginal sea, and example of this type is your Caribbean Sea. Now, if we look into the Mediterranean Ocean, this is the ocean bathymetry as well as the geography of the Mediterranean Ocean. Okay, this first thing, this Mediterranean Sea or the Mediterranean Ocean is not an individual ocean. Instead, it is the combination of many small sea. For example, here we have Balearic Sea, we have Ionian Sea, we have Adriatic Sea, and all these small seas normally combines with each other to form one large sea, which is called a Mediterranean Sea. And apart from this, the most interesting part of the Mediterranean Sea is that the Mediterranean Sea is considered as the remnant of ancient Tethys Sea. Okay, that this particular Mediterranean Sea is considered as the remnant of ancient Tethys Sea, which was existed approximately before 200 million years, when all the continents were jointed by means of a supercontinent, or during the when the Pangaea existed in the geological part. So this particular Mediterranean Sea, it is considered as the remnant of ancient Tethys Sea, which has existed before 200 million years. And another thing you may notice, look into the shoreline of this Mediterranean Ocean. This is highly irregular. the shoreline of the Mediterranean Sea is highly irregular in nature. Okay, and if we look into the average depth of the Mediterranean Sea, it is approximately 4,300 meters. It is the average depth of the Mediterranean Sea is approximately 4,300 meters. At the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, we have a very thick evaporite deposits. Thick evaporite deposits. The presence of very thick evaporite deposits at the bottom of the Mediterranean Ocean suggests that before 6 million years, the entire Mediterranean Sea was evaporated. This is relatively important. Okay, before 6 million years, because this is the only ocean in the world which has been or which had been evaporated completely in geological past. Okay, so the evidence suggests that before 6 million years from now, the entire water of the Mediterranean Sea has been evaporated, and this drying event is called Messinian salinity crisis. Messinian salinity crisis. However, before 5.33 million years, a very torrential rainfall event takes place, and that particular rainfall event again refills the Mediterranean basin with water. That particular torrential rainfall event again refills the Mediterranean basin with the water, but that particular water becomes much more salty, having a relatively high salinity value, and that particular rainfall event that refills the Mediterranean Ocean is called Janklin flood event. That is called your Janklin flood event. So just remember this one. Before 6 million years ago, the entire water of the Mediterranean Ocean has been evaporated, and that particular event is called your Messinian salinity crisis. Whereas before 5.33 million years, a very torrential rainfall event takes place, and that particular rainfall event again fills the Mediterranean basin with the water, but at the same time it gives rise to a very high salinity value of the Mediterranean water, and that particular rainfall event is called your Janklin flood event. It is called your Janklin flood event. Now, if we look into the geography of the Mediterranean Ocean, it is bounded by Europe on the north, it is bounded by Africa on the south, it is bounded by Asia Minor on the east. That means it is completely surrounded with the continents except a very small opening to the Atlantic Ocean through Strait of Gibraltar. So through the Strait of Gibraltar, this Mediterranean Ocean is directly connected to the Atlantic Ocean. Apart from Strait of Gibraltar, this Mediterranean Ocean is also connected to the Black Sea through your Seal of Bosphorus. Okay. In addition to Strait of Gibraltar and Seal of Bosphorus, we have a human-made Suez Canal that connects the Mediterranean Ocean with the Red Sea. That means apart from these three opening to the other water bodies, the entire Mediterranean Ocean is isolated, or it is completely surrounded by the continental crust. Also, the Mediterranean Ocean is the only region of the world where a oceanic crust is mostly surrounded by the continental crust. Apart from Mediterranean Ocean, you will not find such feature in any other region of the world where the oceanic crust is completely bounded by the continental crust. Apart from the Strait of Gibraltar, we have a underwater ridge that is called Seal between the Sicily coast and the Tunisia coast, and this particular seal separates the entire Mediterranean Ocean into West Mediterranean and East Mediterranean. West Mediterranean and the West Mediterranean, and this East Mediterranean and West Mediterranean ocean has also their own circulation pattern. Both the East Mediterranean Ocean and West Mediterranean Ocean both have their distinct type of circulation pattern. Now we'll look into this Mediterranean circulation pattern. Okay, this Mediterranean Ocean circulation or the water flow of the Mediterranean Ocean is distinct and unique, and this type of this distinct type of water circulation in the Mediterranean Ocean is mostly caused by the intense heating of Middle East. We all know during summer time, especially this region, Egypt, Turkey, they normally experience a relatively very high temperature, and due to this relatively high temperature, the water of the eastern part of the Mediterranean Ocean evaporates at a very high magnitude. Due to this intense heating of the Middle East region, okay, due to the intense heating of the Middle East region, the water of the Eastern Mediterranean Ocean start to evaporate at a higher magnitude during the summer time. Now, in order to replenish this evaporated water, the water from Atlantic Ocean starts to flow into this Mediterranean Ocean through the Strait of Gibraltar at surface. This is relatively important. The water of Atlantic Ocean enters into the Mediterranean Ocean in order to replenish this evaporated water at the surface. In essence, if we look into the water level at the Eastern Mediterranean and the Strait of Gibraltar, then in the Eastern Mediterranean, the water level is 15 centimeter lower in comparison to the same at your Strait of Gibraltar. So this difference in the water level between the Eastern Mediterranean and your Strait of Gibraltar also suggests that a huge amount of water has been evaporated during the summer time from your Eastern Mediterranean. Now, when this Atlantic Ocean water, it also travels towards the eastern part of the Mediterranean Ocean, they will also evaporate. But here, due to this evaporation process, a very typical type of property of the ocean water has been developed. That is, whenever the evaporation will take place, it is the water only that will evaporate, not the dissolved material. That means by means of this evaporation process, the salinity of this Eastern Mediterranean Ocean normally increases. The salinity of the water of Eastern Mediterranean Ocean normally increases, and in the subsequent winter, the same region also experience relatively low temperature. The same Middle East region also experience relatively low temperature. Okay, therefore, low temperature means the water will be much more colder. Temperature will be lower, and you all know when the salinity of the water increases and temperature decreases, the density of the water will increase. During summer time, again I am explaining, during summer time, the water of the Eastern Mediterranean Ocean has been evaporated, and it causes the salinity of the remaining water to be relatively higher. Whereas in the subsequent winter time, due to the lowering of the water temperature, the temperature will decrease, and combinedly this increase in the salinity and decrease in the temperature will produce a typical type of water having a relatively high density. Now, this high density water cannot stay at surface, and it starts to sink into the bottom of the Mediterranean Ocean, and at the same time it also starts to flow back towards the Western Mediterranean Ocean. And this high density water that is normally formed during the winter time in Eastern Mediterranean Ocean is called Mediterranean intermediate water, that is your deep water mass. I hope you all know about this deep water mass. In our world ocean we have 5 different types of deep water mass. First is your Antarctic bottom water, next is your North Atlantic deep water, Antarctic intermediate water, North Atlantic central surface water, and the Mediterranean intermediate water. In essence, during winter time, the salinity of this Mediterranean intermediate water is 39.1 per mil, and the temperature of the same is approximately 13 degrees Celsius. It is approximately 13 degrees Celsius. That means after submerging or after sinking, it starts to flow towards the Atlantic Ocean through the Strait of Gibraltar, but at subsurface. Through the subsurface. Here you can see during summer time the Atlantic Ocean water enters into the Mediterranean Ocean at surface, but during winter time the water of Mediterranean Ocean is entering into the Atlantic Ocean at subsurface, especially at a depth of 200 to 600 meters. Just wait, let me to cross check this one. Yes, and this particular Mediterranean intermediate water flow back into the Atlantic Ocean within a depth of 200 to 600 meters, and by the time this water will reach the Strait of Gibraltar, its salinity will be reduced to 37.3 per mil, and its temperature becomes 15 degrees Celsius. At this particular temperature and salinity value also, it represents one of the densest ocean water in the ocean, and it starts to descend through the continental slope of the Atlantic Ocean. By the time it will reach the depth of 1000 meters only, it will mix with the surrounding Atlantic Ocean water, and it completely loses its identity. Now look into this figure. This is the Strait of Gibraltar. You can see ki on the eastern part of the Mediterranean Ocean, due to evaporation process, water from the Atlantic Ocean is entering into the Mediterranean Sea near the surface, but during the winter time, that is during the winter time, a typical water having relatively low temperature and high salinity, it starts to flow back towards the Atlantic Ocean through the same Gibraltar Seal or through the same Strait of Gibraltar, but at subsurface, and this typical water is called your Mediterranean intermediate water. So this is the circulation pattern of the Mediterranean Ocean. Now one more thing, some important factors about the Mediterranean Ocean circulation. Ki in the Mediterranean Ocean, the amount of water that is being entering into the Mediterranean Sea from the Atlantic Ocean, that is the input water, the amount of input water from the Atlantic Ocean to the from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Ocean is less than it is greater than output amount. That means more water is entering into the Mediterranean Ocean from the Atlantic Ocean in comparison to the water that is being entering into the Atlantic Ocean from the Mediterranean Ocean. So these things suggest that in the Mediterranean Ocean the evaporation exceeds the precipitation. That means some Atlantic Ocean water has been evaporated within the Mediterranean Ocean. Therefore, the input water is greater than the output water. Input water is greater than the output water. Now, if we look into the estuary, suppose this is the estuary, this is called the ocean part, and this is the land part. Okay, in estuary what happens? Ki there occurs a flow of low salinity water, the flow of low salinity or fresh water from the land part, or that is called your head of the estuary, that is called your mouth of the estuary. In the normal estuary, there occurs the flow of low salinity water from head of the estuary to the mouth of the estuary or towards the ocean at surface, and at subsurface we have the flow of high salinity water from open ocean towards the head part of the estuary. Okay, this is called estuarine circulation pattern. This is called your estuarine circulation pattern. But in case of your Mediterranean Sea, the scenario is something different. This is suppose Atlantic Ocean, this is Mediterranean Ocean. We have already seen कि in case of your Mediterranean Ocean, there occurs the flow of low salinity water, or fresh water from ocean to the estuary at surface, and during winter time there occurs the flow of high salinity water from the estuary to the open ocean at subsurface. That means if we will compare these two, that means this Mediterranean Ocean circulation is entirely opposite to the normal estuarine circulation, and this typical ocean circulation pattern experienced by the Mediterranean Sea is called your Mediterranean circulation pattern. Apart from this, in Mediterranean Ocean, the evaporation exceeds the precipitation. So this is all about your Mediterranean Ocean. Thank you. Hope you got these things. Okay. By then, take care. Bye bye.